Hello, everybody, and welcome to Taking Control, the ADHD podcast on rashpixel.fm. I'm Pete Wright, and right over there, it's Nikki Kinzer.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Pete Wright.
Well, I want to say welcome back, but we already did a show where you were welcomed back from your trip to St.
But
Louis.
it was like, welcome back, within 24 hours of being back. Now I've had some time.
Right, and you were still delirious.
Yes.
Yeah, you've had some time to kind of get to decompress.
Yeah.
And process your copious notes, and you're going to share all of those copious notes with us today. This, as we record this, it is a very fine Thanksgiving week. So for our U.S. listeners, happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Actually, by the time they listen to this, though, it will be past Thanksgiving.
I know. But you know why I bring that up, Nikki? Do you know why?
No.
Because if those people who are listening to it post-Thanksgiving had been Patreon supporters of this show, they would have been able to join us for the live stream, which was actually Thanksgiving week.
Got it.
You can figure that out over at patreon.com/the ADHD podcast. Since it's Thanksgiving, I just really thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
I can't even tell you. There's just personally, it's so gratifying to be able to log into work every day and see that there are people who are who support us,
who actually care about what we say,
care enough about what we say to help make this a growing part of our careers. Right? Yeah. I mean, that's what we're talking about. I mean, really, that direct support is enabling us to do more with the show, to be able to make choices that support the show and not taking other clients, for example. I'll do more show work before I go shopping myself around to other clients because of the support here. So if it continues to be important to any of you who haven't made the choice to support us this Thanksgiving week, just know that we're thankful for all of you, whether you're supporting us or not. And if you happen to decide now's a good time to throw a couple of bucks our way, you get access to all kinds of great things over in Discord. That's sort of the gateway to any additional goodies that we throw your way on our Discord server. If you have any questions about that, things are resources online, or you can reach out to us directly. But it all starts with patreon.com/the ADHD podcast. And you'll get access to the book club. You'll get access to the monthly workshops. You'll get access to worksheets without any download gates, etc. It's really a growing and thriving community. And thank you, everybody, for participating. So that's it. That's what I have to say about that. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Just, for giving thanks. You don't even have to be in the U.S. Just, we're thankful for everybody, wherever you are. So we're talking about CHADD,
ADDA, ACO.
ACO. Oh, so many acronyms.
Yes, it is no longer the CHADD conference. It is CHADDACO.
That sounds like a new genre of music that you've
really
just come up with.
Yeah.
ADHD music. Yeah. CHADDACO.
I'm looking.
CHADDACO.
They really
CHADDACO is what it is. Yeah, it's like Zydeco, but with ADHD.
Exactly. Yeah. So it is now the International Conference on ADHD. And yes, it's supported by 3 different organizations. So CHADD, of course, is the children and adults with ADHD resource. ADDA is for adults with ADHD. And then the ACO is actually for coaches. It's a coaching ADHD coaches organization.
Great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yes, I'm going to give you some of my takeaways. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the keynotes first, because they were really good this year.
Well, I love this. I have a question.
Yeah.
Now, my question for you is this. It seems like with all of the different associations sponsoring this thing, that it's a conference that may be designed for a lot of different audiences. And I'm thinking about those who listen to this show who aren't coaches, maybe.
Right.
I think most people who listen to this show are probably not coaches, right?
I think that's fair.
But, shout out to all the coaches out there.
Yes.
There are people who are therapists and doctors who are listening to the show. There are people who are just living with ADHD or parents of people with ADHD. It seems like this is a conference that's trying to serve many masters, so to speak. So what is the kind of environment of the conference, and how do you decide if this is a conference that's worth attending?
Well, I think the first thing you got to do is look at the agendas, right? I mean, I think you do need to get on the website and look at the different class sessions. And this isn't going to happen. I mean, the conference is always in November. And I think that they start having the class sessions probably in summer, I think, is when they probably start outlining who's speaking and what they're speaking about. But it is interesting how, yes, you're absolutely right. They have definitely geared this to many populations. But what they've done that is very clever is that the Thursday part of the conference is strictly for professionals. So whether you're a therapist, doctor, teacher, coach, and those are the people that are looking for their continuing education credits.
Okay.
So Thursday is all for that. And then Friday and Saturday and half a Sunday is for everyone. So you're going to see more sessions on Friday and Saturday and Sunday morning that are geared, yes, to coaches, but also to just adults. Right. So there's adults that go because they want to learn more about ADHD. There's a lot of parents who go that have kids with ADHD or they have ADHD and, a lot of like family dynamics. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of sessions to choose from, which can be good and bad.
Right. Because, especially with ADHD.
Well, you have to really study like these you have to really study the summaries and decide, what do I need? What do I want to really hear? And so the first couple of conferences that I went to sessions that I probably already knew too much about. And I was just getting kind of repetitive information. So the last couple of conferences, especially this one, I really looked at the things that I didn't know anything about I knew very little and was trying to expand, my knowledge on that. So I didn't go to organizing classes because I could have taught them. And I don't mean that as snooty. It's just that I could have been a speaker at one of those organizing, sessions. And so I was really looking for things that I didn't know that much about or I wanted to learn more.
Right. So okay. So that's a great orientation for sort of if you've never thought about attending the conference, if it comes to your area, I can absolutely see how taking a day or two over the weekend to attend and see some conferences. Do they and make it would be worth your while to learn some.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll tell you what's even worth more than anything is you are in a conference, like you're in a hotel, area with all ADDers, right? I mean, they either have ADHD or they are a professional in ADHD and they understand it and they get it and they're studying it and all of that. So it's really a fun group of people.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I mean, it really is. It's a lot of fun to be around. And there were lots of laughs. And there were a lot of tears too. I mean, there were people that would, we would laugh and then we would cry and there were lots of head nods and people really talking to each other. So one of the things that the speakers did that I think did a really good job is they tried to interact the audience. There was lots of interaction, which is really good. But there were some that were better than others. And those are the things that, in any conference, you're always going to get some takeaways that are more,
impactful.
They resonate more.
Right.
Yeah. And that's what I want to talk about today. And I'm going to try to do it in, a compact way so that we're not on here for an hour. And then also have you kind of give me feedback on what you think.
Can I just ask real quick, just because we're on it and you were talking about the breakup, are there, so I assume on Thursday you get your CEUs if you're a coach. And then what about any other days? If you're a coach, are you still eligible? Are all the talks CEU eligible?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, not all of them. ICF or whoever you're going in for your continuing education has to approve it.
Okay.
But they've already done all of that.
Okay.
So they'll tell you the list of classes that you can take.
Okay. Perfect.
And yes, it's throughout the whole weekend.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right.
Good
Sorry
question.
for the interruption. Please continue.
No. So the first opening keynote was a gentleman named Lederick Horn. And he is the co-author of Empowering Students with Hidden Disabilities. And he's also the creator, or he's on the board, I'm not exactly sure what his role is, in a organization called Eye to Eye. And it's a national nonprofit mentoring program for students with disabilities and ADHD. So these are two things I definitely highly recommend people checking out is Empowering Students with Hidden Disabilities and ADDA. I'm not going to go into what his story was really because I won't do it justice, right? I mean, these are why these guys, these people are keynotes for a reason. I mean, they have a way with the audience. Basically what he did talk about was his story, how he persevered. He had all of these issues growing up and he ended up with a degree in mathematics. And now he's this inspirational speaker who's doing all of these great things, trying to help students see that their disability doesn't have to pull them back, that they can live and do anything that they want to do. And one of the things he said that I thought was really interesting, because I do not hear this very often, is he recommended students to go to community college first.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, he did. And it took him longer than the 2 years, but that's okay. I mean, that's what he's saying. It's like, you got to get comfortable and figure this stuff out. But yeah, he recommended going to a community college before going into a university. Thought that was interesting.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Next keynote speaker, I have a little bit more to talk about because he talked about a growth mindset.
All right.
Which I think is fantastic. Can you pronounce his name? Do you see it on the notes? Because I have a really Eduardo Bricino.
I think it's Eduardo Bricino.
Yes.
Eduardo Bricino.
That sounds good.
All right, let's go with it.
A lot better than what I can say. So
let's go with it. I'm good with that.
Okay, you know what a growth mindset is?
Well, I've heard the term. Why don't you help me?
Well, no, I want to know what you think it is, and then I'll tell you what the definition is.
Oh, okay. Well,
and don't cheat. You can't look at my notes.
I promise. A growth mindset traditionally implies that you believe at your core, intellectually, emotionally, cognitively, that you can change who you are, and you can adapt, and you can learn new skills, and you can integrate those new skills into your life. How'd I do?
You did great. Yeah, nice job.
I live to serve, Nikki Kinzer.
Yeah, that's really good. Well, and my kids who went to the elementary school, obviously, hopefully, because they're in 7th and 10th grade now. But they both grew up with this growth mindset that they taught in elementary school. And I remember my daughter coming home and saying, "I can do hard things." I'm like, yes, you can. And that was all coming from the growth mindset.
Yeah.
But yes, the formal definition is believing that our qualities and abilities are malleable, the power of believing that you can improve and keep learning. The fixed mindset, of course, is the opposite. So people believe that their traits are what they are and they cannot be changed. Mm-hmm. Well, you can imagine this had a lot of interest in me because of limiting beliefs. Mm-hmm. And narratives that ADDers tell themselves as humans, as we tell ourselves things that we think we can or can't do. Just a couple of differences just to kind of get the mindset that I'm talking about. Growth mindset is about learning and improving, wanting to be challenged. It's a positive mindset. Always wanting to continue to be better, resilient, learning oriented, and they find their lessons to be inspirational. A fixed mindset is staying in the comfort zone, more of a negative mindset, avoiding challenges, feeling helpless, mm-hmm. defensive, and people's success is threatening to them.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, that is really interesting. That's one that, I guess I know that's a thing and certainly have experienced it, but I don't think I've ever associated it with as a trait of a fixed mindset.
Well, and what was so interesting is around this time, he had us work with a partner and talk about where we felt we had fixed mindsets. Mm-hmm. And we all do.
Yeah, we all do.
And so it was really interesting to identify like what mine was around exercise. And the gal that I was working with was around her job because she didn't like her job. Mm-hmm. She wanted to do something different. So it was really interesting to kind of explore this, The growth mindset leads to faster improvement and performance, greater resilience, more positive and collaborative relationships because you're willing to ask for help, greater diversity, equity, and inclusion, greater creativity and innovation, and more ethical behavior. And then there were some questions, where he said, what did I learn? What will I do? And who will I become? So it's not dwelling on the failure that you may have achieved or that you may have had that you feel as a failure, but it's more about what did I learn? What am I going to do different? And then who do I want to become? And, it was interesting too, and I don't have this in my notes, so forgive me, I'm doing this off of memory, but he talked about being in learning mode and being in performance mode. And most people go straight to performance, like it has to be perfect. And he used the
circus kind of a thing. What is
not the circus, but the people that do all the fancy acrobats.
The acrobats, the trapeze artists.
It's not like circus with animals. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Are you talking about Cirque du Soleil?
Yes.
Circus of the Sun is what it means. Circus of the Sun. Yes.
So he used them as an example that when they perform, they do the things that they know best.
Yeah.
They do the things that they have, pretty much mastered. But when they're in learning mode, they're learning how to do new things and they're learning how to change it and make it more entertaining and all of that stuff. So he's saying that most people spend too much time in the performance and not enough time learning.
Oh, that's great.
Being open to learning and not being fixed that we can't do it.
Yeah, that's fascinating. That's interesting. Yeah, I think that's a definitely a trait that I think I've seen in myself, certainly around ADHD, only because, when I'm compromised, I find I have a lack of patience in myself. Right.
Right.
And it's that lack of patience that causes you to rush to the aspirational part, the finished part, the part that I don't have to keep learning. And I forget that sometimes I just have to study. I just have to do it again and again.
Yes. Yeah. So this is completely off of my notes. This is just a story that happened yesterday that I want to share because I think it's powerful. My daughter is a gymnast and she works very, very hard every day to be a gymnast, and her growth has been incredible. So yesterday was our state championships. Right. Mm-hmm. And she had to have a certain score to move up in a level. So this was kind of nerve wracking. And when we were on our way there, she was saying, I'm nervous. I don't know if I know my routine very well. Everything she was saying was negative. Mm-hmm. And so I told her, I said, I read this thing in a book once where it said, when you say I am, and whatever follows after that is what you're believing, like what you're seeing, mm-hmm. or what's the energy that's coming to you. I said, so when you say I am tired, then you are basically telling the universe that you're tired, and that's what you're going to continue feeling. I said, so what if you said, I am getting my second wind. Mm-hmm. Or if you're nervous, what if you, instead of saying I am nervous, I am confident mm-hmm. because I'm going to do the best that I can. And so, anyway, I'm telling her this, not knowing if she's listening or not, because who knows? She's 13. She could be listening to me or zoning out the window. But after the competition, she came to me and she said, my friend was telling me about how nervous and scared she was. And you know what I said, Mom, to myself? I said, what did you say? She said, I am brave.
There you go.
I know. Oh. I am brave. And I'm like, yes, you are. So anyway.
Oh, that's very sweet. Look at that.
Growth mindset. I am, and put in there what you want, what you believe, positive, right? Okay, moving on. Jessica McCabe was the closing keynote. I know that many people are familiar with her on her YouTube channel, How to ADD. Fantastic keynote speaker. Man, she had us laughing. She had us crying. She had standing ovations a couple of different times. She's a really good speaker. Again, I'm not going to go through her story. It's her story to tell, but definitely check her out. She has a great story up until the point where she's, what she's doing now. It's like, she's just great. But she had something that she talked about with Patreon, which I thought was really cool because she was getting burned out from doing her YouTube channel because it really started as more kind of a hobby, fun thing to do. She was working two jobs, at least a waitress job. I know that. But she had gotten to the point where she really didn't think she could do it anymore. It was taking time. She wasn't sure how it was really influencing people. She was ready to quit. She shared her feelings on her page on her, channel.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when she decided to start Patreon. And she had a difficult time asking for money, which I did too. When you brought this up to me, I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. But she's like, I needed to do this so that I could figure out what I was going to do. I couldn't do it all. And so anyway, she puts on this Patreon page, and her first pledge came from somebody, and it was $100 a month.
Wow.
Yes. And she knew at that point, okay, I'm making a difference and I'm not stopping.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
And so she quit her job. She got married. Her husband and her are running this channel. They're working on making it great. They have like future projects together, all of these different things. And she had her little dog with her. I mean, I just love that she's herself. He was himself. They play really well together. So it was really fun. If you get a chance to see her, I mean, obviously go to her YouTube channel for sure. But if you ever get to see her speak, definitely go because it's worth it.
Oh, fantastic. Awesome. Well, her videos are wonderful, and she's just so charming, charismatic, and smart.
She is.
She's just one of those great ADHD communicators. So I'm so glad that was such a positive experience.
Very positive. In fact, I didn't even take notes. I just sat and watched, which is pretty impressive. Because sometimes I'll take notes, to kind of like get aspects of the speech. But I was like, nope, I'm just listening to her. So it was really cool. Okay. So next people that I want to talk about, I did mention this last week. The very first session I went to was on women and ADHD from Sari Solden and Dr. Michelle Frank. I am happy to say that Michelle and I have been in contact, and she is going to be on our show.
Oh, yay.
Next year. Yes. And we're going to
great.
talk about shame and ADHD from our different perspectives. Fantastic speaker, fantastic lady. Love her. I love the work that they're doing. So I'm very excited about that. But I talked about this a little bit last week, and I want to reemphasize it because it's so important. Their message is that we do not need to fix ourselves. We just need to be ourselves. Navigating your ADHD is not just about strategies and tools. It's the acceptance of who you are. Your inner view of yourself makes the biggest difference. ADDers are diverse, not damaged. They have a unique way that they think in the world. Everyone has the human right to be an equal voice, live shame-free, set boundaries, and demand respect. You have ADHD, you don't have to live a shameful life. No one said that you have ADHD and you should be ashamed. So we need to stop believing that. And yes, you have ADHD, but you have so many great strengths. And those are the things that we have to focus on. So they have a book. Yes, book coming out in July of 2019, which hopefully we'll have Michelle on again to promote the book. Okay, got to take a deep breath.
Are you okay? You got a lot going on.
I have a lot going on, and I know that I want to try to do it in a short period of time. I went to a session about the workplace and ADHD, and this was basically tips on how to manage your ADHD in the workplace. I thought this would be good for our listeners. So one of the tips that they had was that we have to get very specific with our coworkers and with our bosses. What is the priority? If we don't know, we need to ask. So we really need to clarify those conflicting messages. If they don't give you an exact due date, ask for one. If you're not sure what they want from you, ask and clarify. Be honest if you do not think it's possible. And she was very clear that, your first reaction is probably going to be to want to avoid the conversation, but it does hurt you in the long run. So if you really don't think that you can do something in the amount of time that they're telling you, you have to do it. We want to be as upfront about that as possible. When you are meeting with your boss, be prepared, take notes, and be respectful of feedback. She talked a lot about how any kind of criticism is very difficult to take. And really going through that process of waiting to respond, calm down first before you say anything about the feedback. And she said, and be very careful of not explaining too much, because that can be heard as an excuse from your boss. So it's best to kind of take a step back and think about how you want to handle this and not do it right then. Communication tools, some questions that she had to ask the audience, which I think was really good, about how much you say in a conversation, how much you say in a group meeting. Is what you have to say need to be said? Does it really need to be said right now? And does it need to be said by me? Oh,
I love that.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's a set of questions that we can start integrating like right away.
Yes.
With our kids, with our, and maybe say to our accountability partners or our spouses, hey, I need you to watch me on this because I need you to help me look like the person I want to be, even when I'm having trouble, listening to all the stoplights in my head.
It is important. I'm just going to say it again. Does it need to be said? Does it need to be said right now? And does it need to be said by me? And it resonated so much with me too, that even when I would write an email this week, I would go back and edit it because there were things in the email I really didn't need to say at that moment.
Right.
And so, as a coach, I don't want to overwhelm my clients.
Yeah.
So right now, what I need to say is just this, and this can be said later, and maybe it doesn't need to be said at all.
Right.
Right.
Well, it goes back to what we were talking about last week, right? The do, delegate, schedule, trash, right? It's the same thing. Do I need to say this? Is there somebody else better that should be delegated to say this thing? Should I say it right now, or should I not say it at all? Like I love that kind of metaphor, or that sort of workflow, linguistic workflow.
Well, and I have to tell you another little side story about this gymnastics meet yesterday. So my daughter didn't make the scores that she was supposed to make to get moved up. So there's still some conversation about what's going to happen. And she had already talked to her coach about what they were going to do. They have a plan for her. And I saw the coach and I said to my husband, I said, do you think you should go over and talk to him? And he said, no, Paige already did. I'm like, oh man, that was an eye opener for me, because it's like, you're right. We don't need to do that. She has it covered. She knows what her plan is. She's happy with her plan, and she's going to work hard to get it. And she's put
the resources in place, i.e. her coach, to help her get there,
Yeah. And we didn't need to be involved. I know that's different from being in the workplace, but I just wanted to throw that out there.
Good.
So anyway, yes, that's all I have to say about that. I mean, there were other things that she said, but I think that the communication tools were really important. I also took a session on accountability. This was specific for coaches, but I thought this would be a good topic to share with our listeners because we talk about accountability partners all the time. So this is whether you are working with a coach or you're working with someone else as your partner. We've got to trust each other, right? That's got to be the first thing that happens. You have to trust them or her. Curiosity plus accountability can equal amazing work. So we know that there is definitely a place for accountability. It is okay not to do what you said you were going to do or what you thought you were going to do. This is not the place. This is a safe place. This is a place for you to explore what's happening. It's not for you to get graded whether or not you did something or not. Again, he emphasized that you are not your ADHD. It's what you have. It's not who you are. This is a partnership. It's important to look at this positively, but that we also look at the positive things that are happening, not just the things that didn't maybe get done. Mm-hmm. Because the good things get ignored too often. So as an accountability partner, we want to make sure that we bring up those positives. Progress is not perfection. And then we want to ask ourselves how your ADHD shows up. So when you are working with an accountability partner, you want to know internally, how does your ADD show up? And what exactly are you working on here, right? So we want to clarify what it is that you're working on, and what does accountability mean to you? What does that look like to you? How are you going to define that if you have a partner? Mm-hmm. Identify the change that you want. Identify how that success is going. If you find that success, how is that going to change? What's going to change for you? Mm-hmm. So we're looking at what you want, but then why it matters, what makes a difference about this. And then as a partnership, you come together with an agreement on how you're going to work together, what this is going to look like, being sure that you're telling your partner what kind of support you need. And if you're the accountability partner, as me as a coach, if I notice that something's not working or you're not following through too many weeks, what do you want me to do about that? As your coach, what do you want me to do? Yeah,
what does intervention look like?
Yeah. Do we ignore it? Do we tackle it head on? But I need to know from you, as a partner, what you want me to do if I notice that. Right. And accountability is really about curiosity. We want that conversation to be open and non-judgmental. And it really is supposed to be a positive. And I think some people really feel it's more negative.
Totally.
And so that opened up that.
Yeah. If you need an intervention, if you need some sort of accountability, it means you've done something wrong.
Right.
That's not accurate.
And that's not what that is. That's not the role that we want to play.
Right.
So if anything, I think it cleared at least me as a coach how to communicate that with people. Mm-hmm. How do I communicate that so that it's clear that you're not doing this for me? This isn't,
right. That your identity is not in question.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Right. Okay, we're almost done. So I took this random class that wasn't even in the notebook or in the program.
Was it part of CHADD? Or did you just walk into somebody else's conference?
No, it was part of CHADD. But it wasn't a session, and it was something that I think she did because it was requested. She had done this last year, and it was called Reading Between the Lines. And it's about social skills and communications. And this was specifically for adults. She did another one that was just for kids. And this is from Caroline McGuire, who will be coming on our show in a couple of weeks to talk about this.
Oh, excellent.
Yes. So I'm not going to really talk too much about it because I'm hoping to get it, straight from the source. But I'll tell you just a little snippet to kind of get an idea. She's going to talk to us about how to interpret what people are saying, how they're saying it, and what do we do with that?
Okay.
So it's really about social skills and communication with ADHD and being able to read people before you respond.
Yeah, right. Oh, wow. Yeah. That's such a big conversation. And I feel like I really feel that. I'm thinking about that with my daughter. We went on a college trip, our first one this weekend. And I am absolutely thinking those things, and do you need to say this right now? Do you need to be the one to say it? Like those kinds of things as we're on the tour, and thinking, how can I be a better coach and advocate in helping her do what I like to call around the house, read the room skills, right? Read the room, everybody, read the room. And that's so hard. It's so hard to do.
It is. And this subject is so much of what the gal was saying with the workplace.
Yeah.
That it is so much about reading the people who you are with and how they're speaking to you and what's their tone of voice, what's their mannerisms, all of that. Well, who are they? Are they a very serious person?
Right.
And then all of a sudden they're joking. Like we got to figure out who these people are. But anyway, so yes, it'll be a great tie into that. And, I know that the one that she did last year had rave reviews. And so I'm really excited about having her on.
Yeah. Right. That's
and
fantastic.
I'll tell you something else.
What?
One last thing is I had so many great ideas for podcasts that I have this like list of ideas. And so even though I didn't cover everything that I learned, I had so many ideas of, oh, we should do a podcast on that. And oh, that's a great podcast. So, the benefit to our listeners of me going to this conference is that we've got some good stuff coming in 2019.
Well, it sounds like some great guests that you've connected with, some folks who've never been on the show before, and that's really exciting. So
it is.
That's great stuff.
My microphone is going crazy.
I'm going to help you with that when we're done with this show. I'm going to help you with that. All right.
Okay.
This is fantastic, Nikki. Way to go. I can't wait for next year because now it looks like I'm going to try and go.
I hope so.
Do you know where it is?
That's our goal. It's in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania in November. That ought to be delightful.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, like Philly or?
I think so. I think it's Philadelphia. I'm almost positive.
Oh, you and me, we're going to get us some cheesesteaks.
Some cheesesteaks.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's our goal is that Pete and I are going to, what is the word? Submit a proposal of having Pete and I do a presentation next year at the CHADD.
Right. So we're going to put that proposal together. And if it goes, we're going to need to put a new tier together, a Patreon, because we're going to need all the help we can get
to get there.
Anyway, this has been really fun. And I'm so glad you went. And thank you so much for your detailed notes and recitation here. It's some good learnings. Can't wait for the year ahead. And again, happy Thanksgiving, everybody who is celebrating it or just needing a little Thanksgiving. That's what we're here for. So on behalf of Nikki Kinzer, I'm Pete Wright. We appreciate your time and attention this week, and we'll catch you next time right here on Taking Control, the ADHD podcast.